Welcome back, listeners, to the BizBlend, the show where we cut through the noise of business hype and hustle culture to talk about what really matters when you are building something that lasts. Now, listeners, today's conversation is going to be so interesting and so relevant for all of us, especially all the founders and entrepreneurs out there. Today's guest knows grit in its rawest form. Well, he started his first company at just 18, sold it 2 years later, and in between, he ate raw eggs when the power was cut, lived off his own protein powder, and drove Uber to make ends meet. And that's not a metaphor, listeners. That's the real startup life. In a world of overnight success stories and all those viral funding rounds that you get to read or see, our guest is here to remind us building something meaningful, it takes time, intention, and relentless patience. We'll also peel back the curtain on something darker, how your data's being used in ways big tech won't talk about, of course. So, if you are a founder, a dreamer, or someone in the grind, it is time to tune in, get grounded, and get real. So, listeners, meet my guest, Tanner Haas. Tanner, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really excited and looking forward to our conversation today.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's my pleasure.
It's my pleasure and an honor to host you and get to know about your journey, get to know what it takes to make something real, and of course, the nitty gritties around the data privacy, big tech, and everything. So let's see how we touch on everything in these 30 minutes. So to begin with, Tanner, you have said that there is no shortcut around the process. You have lived that experience, you have lived that journey, whether it's product development or hiring or anything. So, can you take us to the moment when, rushing something actually it set you back? I mean, how exactly you got this realization?
I think I've experienced that with every one of my companies. So I've started four companies, sold two. This is my fourth, and
Wow.
I think there's two. You put entrepreneurs in two categories. So there's one that they move too quickly, they break too many things, they just want to go 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 go. I'm in that category. There's some that they move too slow. Like they might move fast, but they don't release the products. They just keep trying to make it perfect, keep trying to iterate. So for the people on the left, the people that move too slow, meaning they just don't release, they try to make something perfect. You need to move faster. But the ones that move too quickly and they break things, that's where actually moving too quickly does harm you. And so for one example, is when I started my nutrition company. And that was the one where I was living in Miami. My power was turned off. I all I could afford literally was my own protein powder. I would order it and I already paid for this, so I would have my own protein and I'd have some eggs, but then my power was turned off, so I didn't have gas also. So it was raw eggs. And I drove Uber on the side and all that was preventable in a sense if I did a little more market due diligence to start the company. If I slowed down a little bit, like I jumped too fast and I just wanted to start a company and I didn't think about the economics of the business. I didn't think carefully enough about designing the product, like how the label looks. And I ended up having, I had to make a huge pivot in that company. And I've had to do that actually for every single one of my companies where you just move too quickly to start. I think the most important things for entrepreneurs to understand is you need to set a firm foundation where
Mm.
that's what I think is one of the biggest pieces of advice is I have is set a firm foundation for your company. Like don't if you're making what we've made for Freedom Chat, the most private
Mhm.
messaging app in the world, don't cut
Mhm.
corners. And we cut current corners early on, and we had to rebuild the product from scratch after having gotten 30,000 users in 30 days.
Mm.
And the reason we cut corners, we try to get to market too quickly. So there's times that you need to, like, if something's going to take 6 months, it takes 6 months. Don't try to do it in three and think you're this some superhero person. That's what I would try to do, and then it doesn't work out. And if you're the one that something's going to take 6 months and you do it in a year, well, that's too long. Get it out the door. Be okay with feedback and move forward.
Wow. Tana, from your experience, it's a life lesson. It's a life lesson. I have had actually, I've gone through so many, not case studies, but documentaries, and then especially from the business perspective, where either there was a pressure of getting the product out in the market, as you pointed out, or some kind of ROI rush, where it's a lot of investment and you have to very quickly yield the results. What we generally see, especially in the startup cohort, basically it's more about the profit, the numbers, than the purpose. Of course, profit, numbers, money, it is important, but I think there is definitely some gap in the intention and the output. And with this, I also want to say that I what I believe is a lot of early stage founders, they glamorize speed, because it's kind of natural that they have to prove themselves, because they're taking huge risks. Either they're trying to understand the problem or find a solution to that problem, and also monetarily, financially, they're trying to justify. But you are saying, Tanner, that speed without structure, it costs more in the long run. I mean, am I getting this right, or there's something else in this?
Oh no, you hit it right on the head. I mean, that's why if I was to start Freedom Chat again or start another nutrition company, instead of taking a year, 2 years, it could be done in 4 to 6 months. Like, you can't put a price tag on experience, but a lot of those things, like, it's not speed over everything. It's speed with structure over everything. And so
Hmm.
if that's what, especially for tech entrepreneurs, is you got to take time to build the product. Like, don't get so excited. You got to be okay with the nitty gritty. You have to be okay with you're not getting any publicity right now. Your investors aren't seeing anything right now. That's okay. You need to take time to build something properly, and you just really can't cut corners. And that's something that a lot of people try to do. They want to skip to the result instead of putting in the work. Which, I mean, I've done that. I've done that for, like, you just get so excited.
Yeah.
You justify, oh, I think this is good enough, or no, put in some more time, get the product right, and then go to market, so you don't have to relaunch, you don't have to remake a product. And that's what we had to do for Freedom Chat. Is we got 30,000 users in 30 days. We were a top 100 app downloaded. Um, I mean, we blew up over a weekend, but the problem was the app wasn't good enough yet. There wasn't fast enough. The security wasn't good enough. So we literally had to relaunch. We lost all those users, had to spend more time and money building the app properly. And now we've successfully relaunched. And I mean, that could have been avoided if we just took a little more time to begin with and had more structure.
Um, so, what I meant to ask is that, sometimes it's kind of an obsession that, as an entrepreneur or founder, I mean, we are problem solvers. So we kind of put everything in IMS, stall the progress. So do you think that this um, sustainable growth with structure, it shouldn't be so obsessed around achieving perfection? And what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I think perfection's is always going to be a moving target. What you think is going to be perfect or good enough now, in 2 years' time, you're going to laugh that you thought that was good enough. So I think the most important thing is to get some other user feedback early on.
Mhm.
And then when it's sufficient, release the product because things are only going to get better. It's important to get to market, test the, to validate the product, validate the concepts, and then that's the way you raise more money, but you can't rush it too soon where the product doesn't serve its intended purpose. For like if you say you're gonna be the most private messaging app in the world, you can't cut corners and you can't release before it is the most private messaging app in the world. So you have to release once your proof of not your proof of concept, once your value proposition
Mm.
is achieved or you believe it's been achieved, that's when you release. It doesn't need to be as clean or as fun as in your mind's eye you think it is because it's always going to be improved. So it is important to get to market as quickly as you can, but no sooner than as quickly as you can. Like, don't prematurely push it if it's really not ready, but don't hold on to it if it is ready. Release the product and get feedback because that's the other thing. I mean, I've learned users have so much valuable feedback. Like, when you think you've thought of every possible scenario, you've found every bug, you release the product to 20 people, somebody's going to find something that you did. They're going to have feedback that you didn't think of. That's just really user feedback is incredibly valuable.
Absolutely, absolutely. Something like a beta version of the product, it can be released, it can be tested, feedback can be taken, and then simultaneously improvements can be done.
Yes, I agree with that. Also, don't try to do too many things at once. Like, so for Freedom Chat, for example, we released and we tried to have every single feature. So react to messages, edit, unsend, self-destruct. But the problem is we tried to cram so much in such little time, all of it sucked. So what we should have done is focus on one thing, do that
Mhm.
really, really well. That's the beta version, and then build on top of that. So it's the same thing like setting a foundation. So instead of having the ability to do all these different types of things with messages, we should have just made sure that every message is private, it's fast, and all you can send is messages to start. And then we add voice and video calls, then we add images, videos. Like that's don't try to do too many things. And that'll help you get to market quicker. That will help you get valuable user feedback. If you try to have all these things incorporated in your beta version and your go to market, you're going to get overwhelmed and the product's going to be subpar.
Hmm. Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense, Darren. Okay. So I'm asking is when it comes to the mindset, when you are in the thick of it with the power of cash flow tight, how do you not spiral into self doubt or burnout?
Um, I think that it's normal for entrepreneurs to go through periods of self doubt and burnout. I mean, it's more common than people think. The, I mean, I've experienced that a handful of times because the startup life is hard. It's difficult. You're running on less sleep. A lot of people are counting on you. You're, it's just tough. It is really, really tough. So
Yeah.
the burnout, the self-doubt is normal, and people need to be okay with that. They need to normalize it, and just because you're experiencing self-doubt doesn't mean that I mean, it doesn't mean that nobody else has experienced it. I guarantee all these people, all these other entrepreneurs, they've experienced it as well. And if you pick up any biography of a successful business owner, president, you know, like it doesn't matter who, they've all experienced periods of self-doubt. And I was going through, and I've had that a handful of times. And there's not like a secret sauce. There's no recipe. The only thing is you just need to keep moving forward. And you can mope, you can cry, you can pout for a few hours, a few minutes, take a break, but you need to get back to work because there's a lot of people counting on you and you really just can't ever quit. And the only time that your company Like, the only time that you can fail is if you actually give up. There's always something that can happen. Usually, as a startup, you just need that one investor to pull through. You need that one feature to launch. You need that one connection. There are just so many things. You just need that one thing. And so if you just keep pushing, you just keep kicking, you never give up, that's how you make it through. Don't think, "Oh, I'm having so much self-doubt, I need to give up." No, you need to think, "I'm having so much self-doubt, I need to prove myself that I can do this. I need to show others I can do this. I can't give up now. Like, I put in too
Mhm.
much into this." So, like, harness the self-doubt. Give it Let it give you a chip on your shoulder. Let it make you a little angry. Like, go back to work. That's that's my advice on it, and everybody will experience it. And there's gonna be times that you cry that you literally are, "What am I doing?" You wanna rip out your hair, you wanna scream. You just gotta keep kicking. And if you just keep kicking, there are an endless amounts of possibilities. On my first company I sold, I went from no dollars, driving Uber on the side, power turned off, depressed, unhappy. 6 months later, sold it for a few $1,000,000. Like, a lot can change very, very quickly if you just never give up.
As you mentioned about this, a lot can change very quickly. Um, Sometimes, sudden success, it can really, get us to some extreme ends. And sometimes I think that humility gets missing. Uh, so how do you ground yourself? Let's say you are successful. I mean, you have sold your company successfully, exited the company successfully. How do you ground yourself so that you are still, on the right path, in the right direction, not getting derailed or distracted?
I have made a lot of money before, and I've lost a lot of money before, and then I've made it back. Like, that, I think one of the best things that ever happened to me was losing everything. And that happens sometimes with a company, but then you realize that don't think it can't happen to you. Like, that there's gonna be things that happen if you just remain grounded, in the sense that you're blessed to have been able to start that company, to be able to work with the people you worked with, to have that idea, to have access to the internet, to books. Like, if you just realize that a lot more went into it than just pure brilliance, I don't think you'll take it for granted. And especially, things can happen very quickly. Like, you sold a company very quickly, doesn't mean you can't lose everything very quickly. And that's why I think, and studies show this, one of the most beneficial things you can do for yourself is just show gratitude. And so the flip side of that is, one of the best ways to make sure that you don't get full of yourself and take it for granted is just be grateful. And I mean, I truly believe that. I do think when I was younger, I got a little full of myself. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, I bought a convertible Porsche. Like, splurged, I spent, but I started another company. I lost it all, and I think that was great for me because it made me realize, like, hey, what is given, what you get can also be taken away pretty quickly. So don't let it alter your personality. And I know that's easier said than done, but just remain grateful throughout the process, because what you think, like, people having this vision in their mind that, oh, I'll be happy once I get this, or once I do this, I'll feel more confident, or that's not how it works. You're going to be disappointed if that's your thinking. You need to develop yourself during the process, because no external validation is going to help you. So
Mm.
that's sort of my take on it. Long story short,
Yeah, that's hard hitting, Tanner. That's hard hitting. It's the truth, and we cannot run away from it. Um, and in the interest of time, let's just quickly shift gears here. So, you hinted at something. Most of us, we don't want to talk about it because, like data privacy and how we are all being quietly, surveilled. Like sometimes. I've seen people talking about that, you are talking about something. Let's say I want to go for a vacation to, let's say, Thailand. You are just discussing it with someone, and suddenly on your phone, all you get is ads about, Thailand vacation or, discounts on flight bookings and blah, blah, blah. What should everyday users and even small business owners they should really know about how big tech is operating right now, especially with the advent of AI.
I You hit it right on the head. I mean, there's a mass surveillance state going on, and people's microphones are listening in. So when you say something like what you just said, that was one of the things that prompted me to start Freedom Chat. Was I had a buddy of mine, and he sent me a video of his new cold tub and his new hot tub. And it was a video. He didn't text me anything. He didn't. He just was recording and said, "Yeah, look at this. I go from a cold tub to a hot tub, and it's on the ocean. It looks pretty." And all of a sudden, I went to search something, and I was being advertised cold tubs and hot tubs. And this is back then. I had some forms of social media, and it was advertised all over my feed. Like that's a little concerning. But when that's what really prompted me to start looking into what's going on. What data do these companies actually collect from you? So, like WhatsApp, for example, wants to tout that they're private and you can message like end-to-end encrypted messaging. That's just not true. And when you actually dive into it, you see that basically every single one of your messages, images, or videos is stored on their server. Every piece of data they can get their hands on. So, who you talk to and when, your IP address, where you're from, your political affiliation, financial information, all that is used against you essentially to create this like profile. And it's deeply concerning because it's only going to get worse as we approach I mean, we're in it now, but the AI era. And if people think their privacy is going to somehow magically improve, it's not. It's going to get worse and worse until you take control of your privacy and data security and use a private messaging app like Freedom Chat. So we created, I mean, every message, image, or video cannot be read, seen, or heard by anyone other than the intended recipient. We don't store anything on our servers. So once a message is successfully delivered, it's removed from our servers. We have no commercial use of your data. It is our incentive to protect your data, and we prevent screenshots, screen recordings. You can edit, unsend, self-destruct. So what we've done is we're trying to give people the same sense of security as the spoken word. All these other apps are trying to make as much off your data as humanly possible. So there's a stark difference in our value proposition and our values as a company.
Hmm. And uh, do you think, Tara, that we often quote example of this the Big Brother state, the state of surveillance, like mentioned in the 1984 George Orwell novel. Are we heading towards something like that? When every click, our personal data and everything, they are just accessible at the fingertips of the system, of the leaders, of the watchdogs out there. I mean, do you think we can do on our own something to I mean, at least take one step of privacy and safety for us?
I think we're certainly approaching that. I mean, George Orwell talked about Big Brother, and he'd know what you're thinking, he'd know what you're gonna say, you'd know. I mean, that's these social media companies know everything about you. These other messaging apps know everything about you, and they build these personas of you, and they're gonna use it against you. I mean, like in China, for example, they have this social credit score. So
Mhm.
if you talk back, basically, your score is dinged. If you believe a certain thing, your score is dinged. If you think something And they only know that because everything you do is spied on. So if you download and actually use a private app for your communications, when you message your wife, your husband, your mom, your dad, it should be nobody else's business, quite frankly. So use a private messaging app like Freedom Chat. Keep your conversations private. I mean, so much all these spam related texts, the people that lose money on spam, how do you think they get your number? Like they sell your phone number, they sell, hey, this person is likely to click on this message. All of this is constructed. So take care of yourself, take care of your family, download a private messaging app like Freedom Chat. And I encourage people to look into this, like read WhatsApp's privacy policy. It's disgusting. Like read TikTok's privacy policy. It's disgusting. Like if you actually look into this stuff, it's deeply troubling and it's only going to get worse until people take a stand and start aligning with privacy first companies. Because you can have all the features you want. Just encourage your friends and family to move over because the time to take action is now. It's not after you've had your credit card leaked or your debit card leaked or you're subject to, I mean, surveillance. Like people, when you run for something, when you want to be someone of power, that's when you'll see a message 6 years ago and it was quote unquote leaked. Like that's all by design. So protect yourself and use something where you can speak freely and message privately.
And is Freedom Chat available across globally, or is it still?
It's globally. So if you have an iPhone, you can download it anywhere in the world. Um, on Android, we are going to release this week. So if you are on Android, you want to subscribe to our wait list, you can go to freedomchat.com, click on our Android icon, and just enter your email, and you'll be subscribed. And we're going to be out this week. And again, Freedom Chat is available worldwide. We use your phone's data connection, so there are no SMS fees or anything like that. Everything you send is end-to-end encrypted. We nobody, even us, we can't see what you say, send in any way, shape, or form, and not any circumstance. You can send images, videos, GIFs. You can edit, unsend, self-destruct. We prevent screenshots, screen recordings. I mean, it's incredibly user-friendly. It's fun to use, and it is the most private messaging app on the planet. Period. Full stop. And people can get it just by going to freedomchat.com.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. I'll make sure to mention all the details and links in the show notes. Just one quick question comes from my mind, Tana, that definitely having these levels of security. I mean, it definitely would take a lot of investment, input, financial input. So, uh, uh, do you think it is sustainable, like to be ethical, and then also profitable? To have that longevity at the same time?
Yeah, I think, I mean, quite frankly, if we wanted to make the most money possible, we'd sell user data.
Yeah.
That's what's the most profitable, but we're not going to do that. So we developed ulterior, alternative profit motives. But number one is because we don't store messages on our server, we can actually keep our costs extremely low, unlike these other apps that have hundreds of millions, billions of dollars of cloud storage costs.
Mm.
The other is we're paid for privacy, but if people don't want to pay, they always can use the free version. We launched Freedom Chat for Business, which is a we allow basically any company to create their own private messaging app. So you think of healthcare, legal, insurance. We allow them to create their own messaging app in as little as 1 week. And then we also, I think our encryption is going to be powering the majority of the healthcare industry in the US. So we've we've really developed ulterior alternative profit centers that I think are going to benefit the company and they are sustainable. And again, because we don't store messages on our server, we have a cost advantage. We don't need to price our product ridiculously high because we're able to keep costs so low.
Hmm. Well, that completely makes sense to me, Tanner. Great. Before we wrap up once again, Tana, if someone would like to connect with you, what would be the best way?
Best way is you can go to my website, tannerhaas.com, go to freedomchat.com, and then when you download Freedom Chat, you can subscribe to my Tanner Haas channel. So we created not just the most private messaging app on the planet, we also created within that Freedom Chat channels, which are your own private, perfectly curated news feed. So users can go subscribe to their influencer of choice. They can see the same content they want, but nobody can see the channels you're subscribed to or the posts that you react to. So I have my own channel in there. I post. People can go subscribe, interact, and it's completely private. Nobody can see what you're doing. They can't see who you follow, what you subscribe to. It is a new form of social media.
I'm really surprised and really glad at the same time, Tana. So this is something not very usual nowadays.
That's true.
Okay, I'll make sure to add all the details once again. And Tanner, this was such a refreshing, reinvigorating conversation because uh, we touched upon so many things in this short period of time. You know, your conversation, your journey grounded me in the kind of truth that's hard to come. Uh, Obviously, in the entrepreneurship world of flashy metrics and fast exits, and definitely building something meaningful, it takes time, but it also takes intention, clarity, and a willingness to show up fully even when the lights are off and the profits are in a shaker bottle. So thank you so much, Tana. This was absolutely a great conversation.
Uh, Of course. Thank you so much for having me on. It was my pleasure. And definitely let me know when the episode is out, please. Love to listen to it and send it around.
Absolutely. And to all the listeners out there, whether you are bootstrapping your first idea or recalibrating after burnout, remember that trust the process, the good old saying, do the hard work and never lose your humanity in the hustle, listeners. Until next time, this is Sana and this is BizBlend. Keep building with heart and go check out Freedom Chat. Connect with Tanner. Refer to the show notes along with this episode. Until then, thank you so much.